Hey everybody, watch this review here with a look at the Queens of the Marvel Legends line. That of course being Emma Frost, the White Queen, from the Hasbro Marvel Legends Annihilus series, the first set that Hasbro put out, first wave. And her repaint, or moderately adjusted resculpt, the Toys R Us exclusive Black Queen, aka Jean Grey. I previously said it was Madeline Pryor, but it was my bad. Madeline Pryor was actually Goblin Queen, allegedly, and the costumes are just really similar. But there's also one other version floating around using the same basic sculpt, and that would be the diamond skin version of Emma Frost, where the skin portions are just translucent, which I guess may or may not be a better look for her, just considering the paint job and the face sculpt. But I saw it at Toys R Us for $2, the exclusive, but I ended up not getting it, just because back then I wasn't collecting and I wasn't particularly excited over the build. But sort of regret it now. I don't think I ever saw her in stores though. Bought both of them loose, can't remember, might buy them at the same time. Kicker is, of course, that sometime later I did manage to pick her up mint in box for cheaper than what I paid loose. So for you package aficionados, here's what the packaging looks like. I mean, Hasbro did a lot of things wrong, but I think we can all agree that their packaging actually looked pretty damn decent, as opposed to the old one package fits all of Toy Biz. But so I mean, that's two things that Hasbro did for the line. They upped the prices and they put out some pretty kick-ass looking packaging. I mean, I usually save the cards for these ones, and then I save the little inner card and so forth. But hey, by looking at the I also picked up Banshee on discount same time for $4. It's at a clothing store. I think it was Burlington Coat Factory or something. I'd stopped into it. I'd noticed that the toy section went down. I was like, I can't believe they're selling Marvel Legends for $4 each, and here we are. But so I have a packaged version of that. Banshee will review at some point, but as you can see, the sculpt is almost identical. The only difference is different head sculpt and different brooches or pinions or whatever you call them. Everything else, even down to the logo on the belt, is the same, which doesn't make much sense because Jean Grey only really wore this costume when she was with the Hellfire Club, and she wouldn't have an X-Men logo for, when she was with the Hellfire Club. But hey, what can you say? By the way, of course, Black Queen actually had an accessory in the form of a whip, so I don't have that. I mean, I had it, but I just don't know where it is right now. I mean, it still exists out there, but before I forget, in terms of scale, here's the first appearance Spider-Man. Just get him perfectly straight. Which actually is kind of tricky because there it goes. But yeah, as you can see, they're all basically a little bit shorter than he is, so they're all right around the 6-inch mark, I'd assume. Yeah, I really like this figure. I don't like this figure at all. Let me actually straighten that boot there. I can't get them to stand up straight just because the cape/cloak really makes them a lot bulkier than, a lot more top heavy than they should be. But actually that's the other thing too. I think their capes are actually reversed. Like this one's slanting out this way and this one's slanting out this way. And the maybe because of I've got loose, the legs are a little bit pushed in on this one too. But I mean, it's just an example of how you can take the same basic sculpt and do different things with it and just make it look completely better. But I mean, most of the ugliness of this is solely owed to the fact that this face sculpt is just awful. I mean, a lot of people call it the fish face Frost, and you can obviously see why. I'm not sure if that's a paint defect or what. I'll have to try scraping it later, but I mean, even like if you just look at the face paint, it just doesn't look good, even without the crappy sculpt. Whereas the Black Queen here actually looks pretty decent for the face sculpt. It's a slightly different sculpt. Much more natural tone used on the lips. It just has a much cooler look. In terms of articulation, I'll just look at one of them because they both basically have the same articulation. And of course, I'll pick the better looking one. But other than that, the major differences too is the choker is different. That's more of a studded choker, where this one's like a lace one. But other than that, 99% similar. So yeah, let's look at articulation. Oh, by the way, if people are wondering why I'm even looking at these two figures, I'm used to White Queen being a villain back from the old comics and cartoon and the X-Men video games and so forth. I'm also used to her having the shorter hair, the little bob, but actually I probably would have preferred if it had they released it with that sort of haircut. And of course, I believe that she was brainwashed at one point as Lady Grey. I mean, she might have been going undercover or something at some point, but in terms of articulation, Hasbro really stiffed us on the all the stuff. I mean, nowhere is this more evident than right here, but let me just make sure they both have all the same points. It looks like it. First of all, you don't have any finger movement, which was something that's kind of like too good to be true anyway. Like, we were really spoiled back when we had finger movement, but we've got wrist movement, but no forearm articulation, so you can't do anything to pose this way or that way. I mean, you can kind of do it because it looks like they've got that one joint. Yeah, actually it does do a little bit, but it wasn't doing it first. So yeah, actually, yeah, that's not a problem. I thought it was, but because it was stiff on both of them, but I guess it's just the sculpt impedes with a thing, because it's a bit out there. Is it the same on both? Yeah, she actually has a bit of muscular detail right here. They both have it? Yeah, they both have a small amount of muscular detail on the forearm, which I guess is a sort of natural muscle, but while the cloak is on, it'll impede everything. You can take it off, but I don't recommend it, because then the little peg thing starts to get loose. I mean, I accidentally did it on the right here. Actually, I should probably look at her. Sorry for just switching a horse midstream here, but show you all everything that they can actually do. I should probably demonstrate once with if there was nothing blocking it, and once if there was something blocking it. Also paint scraping in here. I'm not sure if that was done from the cloak or just the thing, but the full range of motion will be basically what you see on a lot of the other female figures that Hasbro does. I mean, they actually have a pretty decent way of doing the female sculpts and so forth. It's just that these particular ones just don't look good. Let me just make sure everything looks okay. Alright. But yeah, as mentioned, wrist, no finger, no forearm, but it's got that special kind of joint here where it's multifunctional. It's just really stiff in these figures because they have a bit of a build here, and then there's this part right here because it's like a split, almost like a split joint of sorts. But I mean, both that and that'll seriously impede the movement. So also there's paint bleed. The skin tone goes onto the pants a considerable bit. Not sure if it's mine, not sure if it's in general, but got the usual ball joint shoulders. It's a pretty noticeable ball joint, but because they have the cloak on most of the time, you won't really appreciate it so much. It'll kind of, your attention will be kind of distracted. Head will move, but not a considerable amount. The hair kind of impedes that. I don't think the hair will impede that, so we'll get a better look at that one. No waist or torso movement, which is a little bit strange. Actually, it should have torso movement. What am I saying? There it goes. Yeah. It's actually just well hidden. I remember that these ones, Hasbro's female builds, usually have the movement at the torso instead of the waist because they like doing more V-shaped sort of thing there. But your standard... Yeah, I haven't really messed around with these that much. There's a lot of clicking. But I mean, it's the standard joint that you have when you that they use for the female figures. Double jointed knee. As mentioned, it was actually a single joint, like split at the elbow. Then a single joint at the ankle/foot, or in this case boot, or platform heels. Let's take a quick look, same way with the helmet over time. Oh shoot. But just quickly looking at this, it'll basically block like everything when you try to do it, so all you'll really have is movement here, then a little bit up here. When you do push it up like this, you'll noticeably see this is just out of proportion, but I mean overall, nice looking figure, nice looking build. Other one doesn't look as nice. I mean, it's just a, it's not a real ball joint up here. It'll only move 360 side to side. And this is a cool one. This one not cool. This one's rare, Toys R Us exclusive. Until next time, watch this review.